guys, it's Debbie. Welcome back to the afternoon session of the Amber Alert murder trial, New Hampshire v. Dustin Duren. How is everybody doing? I hope everybody had a great lunch. I had chicken fried rice. It was not really fried because it was it healthy choice? Yeah, healthy choice. Hey Judy, hey Nancy, hey Wiggles. They have not started back yet, but we are seeing the seal and they've taken off their horrible, awful hold music. StreamYard, what are you doing? StreamYard is just like everybody else in my life. They never do what I tell them to do. Still not doing what I'm telling it to do. Still not doing what I'm telling it to do. There it goes. Marty's driving. I don't know where Marty is. He was missing you. I don't know where you went. But he was driving and texting, and we told him to stop, and he still did it. I think this cop is still on the stand. I hope he is. I think he's cute, but I really like his voice. I like his voice on the stand, but I expected him to have like more of a commanding voice when he stopped the guy, got out of the car, and hey Carla, when he was going, hand, show me your hands, with more commanding voice, because voice on the stand is it's deep, but like it's his regular speaking voice, so it's kind of a soothing deep. It's not deep, it's deep. So I expected more of a commanding, deep voice coming out of him talking to a suspect. It was not as deep as I thought it was going to be. He used to date a guy that had a deep voice. So his conversational voice was not as deep as, like, I don't know how I ended up with the nickname. But he was this great, big, tall, big guy. And so, do you guys remember the cartoon Grape Ape? And Grape Ape's sidekick was a little beagle dog. And Grape Ape called him Beagly Beagly. And Grape Ape would always say, I'm sorry, Beagly Beagly. And so my boyfriend had this really deep voice, and he could sound just like Grape Ape. And he would go, I'm sorry, Beagly Beagly, and do it in that deep voice. But like when he was deepness to his voice, and then he would do the really deep when we were playing around. That's what I thought this guy's voice would be like when he got out of the car And he was like, hands, show me your hands. I thought it was going to be this really, really deep, guttural voice, and it wasn't. I was so disappointed. Oh, cool, Wiggles. That's good. Yeah, I miss Great Babe. There's so many good Hanna-Barbera cartoons were always my favorite as a kid. Scooby-Doo, favorite. Still all-time favorite of all time. Flintstones, Jetsons, Grape Ape. What was the one? Top Cat. That was it. The one with the cats. The stray cats, the alley cats. That was Top Cat. All the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, they were the best. There used to be a ride at Universal that it was a simulated roller coaster. Yeah, Betty Boop. But it was a giant, because it was like for kids, so to make it less, because if you get in a simulated roller coaster and you're in a smaller space, hey Terry, it seems more real. Because it's a smaller space, you just see a screen, so it's more real. So since it was more geared for kids, because it was a cartoon, it was a big giant room. You could see everybody around you. The seats moved, but you didn't get like the claustrophobic feeling of actually moving. And the screen was big, and it was all Hanna-Barbera cartoons. So your seats moved, and it felt like you were really flying. And you went through the Flintstones and the Jetsons, and you went through a graveyard with Scooby-Doo and Shaggy, and it was such a cute ride, and they took it out. I don't know why, unless it's just because the cartoons are so old and the kids don't know those cartoons anymore. And now it's a Minions ride, and I have not been on it since they changed it, because the line is always so freaking long. And now they put in another Minions ride like right across the way from it, and I haven't been there since they put that one in. Hopefully that one will make the line shorter on the other one, and I'll get to ride both of them next time we go. But the new one they put in, you stand on a conveyor belt. There's no seat. You stand and you have a gun, then you shoot. It's like a shooting game ride thing, but you're standing on a conveyor belt. So I don't think I'm gonna like that. I don't want to stand. I want to ride.
Thank you.
Standing on a conveyor belt is not a ride.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Please be seated. Ready?
Your Honor, at this time, the state
Aw, Joel's done. I wanted to see him again. He was cute.
Dr. Nat Robertson, if you could remain standing and just raise your right hand for me. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give today will be the truth under penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. You may lower your hand and be seated. Dr. Robertson, before we get started, could you go ahead and please state your name for the record and spell your last name?
Natalie Robertson, Robertson.
You're a medical doctor, is that correct?
Correct.
Can you tell us about the education or the training that you have in order to become a doctor?
Yes. I have a Bachelor's of Science from Boston University. I have my...
I interrupt you very
Yeah.
quickly. Can you move that
Oh,
microphone
yeah.
a little bit closer? Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes.
Bachelor of Science from Boston University in Health Sciences, a medical
Josie
doctorate from Drexel
Pussycats,
University,
Captain Caveman.
and I completed a residency in emergency medicine at Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center.
And with respect to, or when did you graduate from Drexel with your MD?
2021.
Okay. And at what point did you complete your residency?
It was a 3-year residency, so
So
2024.
2024?
Yes,
And are you board certified?
I am.
And when did you receive your board certification?
I finished my last exam in March of this year. It took a couple months then, so.
Okay. And you currently are board certified in emergency medicine, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you indicated that you had or were a resident with Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center, is that correct?
Correct.
Can you explain to us what a residency is?
Residency is the part of your medical training that you complete after you graduate medical school. So you have a medical doctorate, then you do residency in whatever specialty you are going to become a doctor in or specialize in. So mine was emergency medicine. That was a 3-year process at Dartmouth. There's some varying lengths. During that time, you are licensed under a training or restricted license saying that you are practicing medicine within a residency program. You care for patients. There's a somewhat of graduated responsibility. So by the end of the residency program, you have more responsibility than the beginning.
And when you were serving as a resident at Dartmouth-Hitchcock, from what I understand from your testimony, you were serving in the emergency department?
Correct.
Okay. And while you were serving as a resident with Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center, where were you based out of? Like what hospitals?
Our main hospital was at the main Dartmouth-Hitchcock in Lebanon. We also did rotations at Cheshire Medical Center, at the Elliott Hospital in Manchester, as well as shock trauma in Baltimore.
Okay. And when you say we, in terms of Cheshire Medical Center, did you serve any portion of your residency at Cheshire Medical Center?
Yes, we complete 2 months at Cheshire Medical Center, 1 month during our 2nd year of residency and 1 month during our 3rd year of residency.
Okay. And I'd like to ask you, and it's my math skills are horrible, so let me go with your recollection. With respect to the residency that you were doing in March of 2024, were you stationed at Cheshire Medical Center?
Yes.
And would that have been your month in your 3rd year of residency?
Yes, that was my 3rd year.
Okay. Are you currently employed as a medical doctor?
I am currently on maternity leave, but I am employed as a medical doctor, yes.
Okay, and you're employed where?
At Lawrence General Hospital in Lawrence, Massachusetts.
So in March of 2024, you are a resident at the Cheshire Medical Center, and that's located where?
Keene, New Hampshire.
And at that time, you're working in the emergency department?
Correct.
Okay. So I want to direct your attention to March the 1st of 2024. Were you working on that day?
Yes, I was.
And I guess let me back up a little bit. The emergency department at Cheshire Hospital, can you talk to us a little bit about what that looks like?
It is a pretty standard, smaller community emergency department. There were generally 2 to 3 either physicians or APPs on at a time. It's a circular department, so there's patient care rooms around kind of a center area where there's supplies, as well as 2 areas for physicians and nurses.
And as a resident there at Cheshire Medical Center, what were the responsibilities that you had? You just indicated you would be licensed under a conditional license. What kinds of things did you do as a resident at Cheshire Medical?
Yeah. So as a 3rd year resident at Cheshire, I would generally see patients, or I would see patients on my own, initiate.
I'm sorry, did you say you would or would not?
Would. Initiate their care and workup, and then at some point present them to an attending physician. Again, there's some caveat there. If someone came in who was very, very ill, often then an attending would walk in the room with me. But most of the time, as a resident at that point in your training, you are treating and seeing patients independently, and then at some point the attending signs off on your care.
Okay. I mean, you're just months shy of graduating the program, so you're
Correct.
functioning pretty much on your own with backup from a resident, or not a resident, I apologize, an attending.
Attending, yeah.
Okay. So as a resident or as a doctor at Cheshire Medical Center, how would you normally be dressed? What would you look like?
They had hospital issued scrubs at Cheshire, so we had navy blue scrubs. I wore my badge with my picture on it, usually a stethoscope, and then some papers in my pocket. I don't generally wear a white coat.
Now, in your capacity as, well, you've already indicated that you were able to see patients. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. Did that include patients who were pediatric patients, like children?
Yes.
Okay. Speaking generally, when you're seeing a patient, any patient in the emergency department, whether as a resident or now as a doctor, what kind of steps do you take when you treat and evaluate them?
It depends a bit on the condition of the patient when they arrive, but assuming that they are a stable patient who's talking to me, we walk in the room. Sometimes the nurse, or if they're brought in by EMS, someone will give me some information before I walk in the room about why they're there. Sometimes I don't have that information. I walk in, I ask them why they're there. I check their vital signs. I do an appropriate physical exam, and then initiate a workup, whether that's blood work or imaging or other things to make my diagnosis or to treat them.
What's the purpose of getting information from the nurses or the people accompanying the patient, as well as the patient, before you just launch into your physical exam?
I mean, those people generally have other helpful information, not always. If there's a 40-year-old who walks in and has a stomach pain, they can probably tell me everything about their stomach pain. If someone is coming in by ambulance, they can provide me, EMS can provide me with vital signs that were taken in transport, or if they did any interventions already. If they're picking someone up from an accident, they can tell me details of the accident. They just provide a more holistic story of why they're there.
And is all of that information that you would receive, whether from those sources like EMS or nurses or accompanying persons, as well as from the patient, including that child, are those all things that you take into account when you're evaluating and examining that patient?
Yes.
Now, when you're talking about information just in general, what are the kinds of pieces of information that you're trying to obtain about the patient in that initial evaluation stage?
When I'm initially looking at a patient?
Yeah, when you walk in, you ask them what's going on. What kind of information are you trying to get, and how does that help you?
I'm trying to gather why they're there, why they're seeking care, and that directs me in what to examine and what tests to order. I'm trying to get information about their general health, their medical history, things like that, because again, that helps guide me towards what kind of workup they might need.
Okay, when you say workup, what kind of tests you might order, what you might look for
Correct.
on your body?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in terms of, and have you, or let me back up, because there's multiple parts and I'm trying to ask it at one.
Yeah.
While you were at Cheshire Medical Center, did you have occasion to treat pediatric patients, like that 4-year-old you used as an example who had a stomach ache?
Yes, yeah. I see pediatric patients everywhere.
And do you see pediatric patients in your role as a doctor now?
Yes.
Okay. Is the approach that you use in evaluating and treating a pediatric patient, so a child, the same as the approach that you'd use when you treat an adult?
It depends on the age of the child. Obviously, an 18 to 17-year-old is very close to an adult. A 3-year-old is not. But no, it has to be different depending on the age of the person.
Okay. So when you treat a pediatric patient, and when you say pediatric, is it anybody under the age of 18?
Yeah, I think I'm not a pediatrician.
Yeah.
I believe pediatricians are certified to take care of people up to the age of like 22 or 23. I'm not sure. I generally, colloquially, pediatrics is under 18.
Okay, I just wanted to understand a range of what age we're talking about. So when you treat a patient who is a child, and I'm not talking about those 18-year-olds, but somebody younger, under the age of like, say, 7, around the age of like 5, let's say. That seems like child, right?
Yeah.
Are there any extra steps or considerations that you have to make in conducting that examination or evaluation?
So in a kid that age, around the age of 5 or 5 and under, obviously a lot of information gathering is not only from the patient, but from other people, because they are not always, aware of their health history or have a, complete understanding of things around them. Also, the examination and everything, when you're talking to a child, you have to use age-appropriate explanations of things. They're more likely to be very scared of the medical system, and so there's a lot more effort put into making them comfortable, and to gaining their trust is a little bit more difficult than with an adult.
Okay. No matter who you've obtained that information from, the other people that you've talked about, whether it's caregivers or people with them, all of that information that you're gathering, are you using it in order to medically treat the child?
Yes.
Now, as part of your role in examinations, you get a history of the medical treatment for a person?
Yes.
And then do you obtain information about sort of the issue that has brought them to you?
Yes.
Okay. In terms of when you have a young child who's been brought to you and is being treated or evaluated in your emergency department, can you sort of walk us through what you would say and how you would handle talking to a young child in order to get the information you need to treat them?
Yeah. So someone who's around the age of 5, generally, again, I get some information about why a person is in the emergency department before I'm in their room. You know, a nurse has evaluated them or they've come in by EMS. Somebody has some information for me. Then I walk in the room and I introduce myself as Dr. Natalie. I explain to them that I'm going to do a checkup like they receive at their regular doctor. I tell them I'm going to listen to their heart and their lungs and check their thoughts like their regular doctor. And then around a 5-year-old can usually talk to me. And so I ask them, you know, do you know why? What often means that a child is, you know, that's not, I don't know if that's an official term, but I generally use that term, and many doctors do, as like a child is brought to the emergency department and they don't have a specific injury or complaint. They weren't at home having an asthma attack. They weren't in a car accident, but they are there for some reason where we are being asked to generally look at them and see if they are injured in some way.
Did you have a specific shift that you tended to work at Cheshire as a resident last semester? For a month?
Yeah, Cheshire, we did not work overnight, so we were either working a morning shift or an afternoon shift.
At some time on March the 1st of 2024, do you recall 2 young girls being brought into the emergency room of Cheshire Medical Center by ambulance and accompanied by police?
Yes.
Do you recall what purpose they were there for?
As I recall, they were brought in for essentially a wellness check to check for injuries.
Now, I want to focus specifically on the older of those 2 children. Did you physically examine a 4-year-old child named Caitlyn Duren?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what I've marked for identification purposes. Make sure I have it the right way. As State's Exhibit 16 in this case. Do you recognize this image?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know who that person is in the image?
Yes, the child you just mentioned, Ellen.
Okay, so that's the child, Caitlyn. Now, in this image, she's seated, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Can you describe where she is in relation to Cheshire Medical Center?
She is seated on a patient gurney. It looks like there's some blue kind of pads around it, which we sometimes use when children are seated so that they don't roll off of the gurney. And I can see in the corner, and do remember that she was in an enclosed room within the Cheshire Emergency Department.
And what does that mean to be in an enclosed room?
In the emergency room, sometimes people are in hallway beds or are different, you know, trauma bays or things that just have curtains, and that is a room that has a door that closes.
Permission to publish to the jury item? I'm sorry, I skipped a step, I apologize. Your Honor, at this time, the state would move to strike the identification on State's Exhibit 16 and admit the item as full.
The exhibit, excuse me, the ID may be stricken from Exhibit 16, it shall be considered a full exhibit, and you may publish to the jury.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Certainly.
When you were evaluating Caitlyn Duren, was she able to provide you with any of her medical history that you recall?
I don't recall specifically if she could tell me her medical history.
Did she have a health issue that day that she asked you for help with?
She did. On initial questioning, she did not, and then told me that she had an earache, or her ear hurt.
What do you mean she initially told you she did?
Like I said, when I generally ask kids open-ended questions, is anything bothering you? She did not have any complaints.
And how did it come to be that she told you that she had an earache?
I asked if anything hurt on her body, and she pointed to her ear.
Okay. When she pointed to her ear, do you remember if she told you anything about why her ear was hurt?
I believe I asked her, but I don't remember the exact quote. It's in my documentation,
Okay.
if I can see that.
Dr. Robertson, I'm approaching you with State's Exhibit 17, which is identified only, okay? I do have,
Oh, gee. Oh, dang it. We're caught up with them. She showed them that the chart, the paperwork, the chart that the doctor charted on that she was going to go show her to refresh her memory. And they waited till she walked all the way up there and started asking a question before they objected. It's her notes from that night. They see so many patients, they don't remember what every single patient said to them. Why are you objecting? Because it's hearsay? He's being charged with reckless endangerment, correct? He shot a gun so close to his 4-year-old's ear that she had an earache. Well, then they should have put it forth in motions in limine to get it excluded. That's part of his charges. That's part of his charges, that he discharged the gun with his daughter right there next to the gun. Yes, motions in limine. Motions in limine. And if they asked for it in motions in limine and the judge said no, then they shouldn't be objecting now. It's a waste of time. I mean, I know they're zealously representing their client. If she had made any violent advances toward him, I would say I want to see the defense's case before I make any
marked for identification purposes.
Type of decision.
17. And with respect to this document, you've indicated that there are some records that may help you with your recollection of your evaluation and thereby treatment of Ellen Duren. Is that correct?
Correct.
But if she was
You were
just
presented
sitting there,
this entire document.
no way.
I ask you to go ahead and make sure that these are the records that are associated with her. And I have a tag just so that I can find something easily. You can disregard that or not. 2017?
Yes.
What is it?
This is her, it looks like full ED record, including my physician note, but also nursing notes and consultant notes.
Okay. And when you say that you see your physician note, can you just tell us there's a page number at the bottom so that we all have it? What page number are you referencing has your physician notes?
It starts on page 22.
Oh, I'm going to ask you for a different number.
Oh, sorry.
Page 22 of the records in the bottom corner. We like to add more numbers.
Oh, 00.
Yes.
Okay, so 002598.
2598. Thank you. Now, you had indicated that you had asked Elwyn about anything that was wrong with her, and at first she had said no. Is that fair to say?
I don't remember the exact way that I phrased the first question, but looking at my notes and with my recollection, I believe she did not initially have a complaint.
Okay. And when later, did you inquire as to whether she had any injuries?
Yes.
And is that the moment where she told you that her ear hurt?
Yes.
And which ear did she point to?
Pointed to her left ear.
Okay. Did you then ask her, and without telling me anything at this point, but did you then ask her? Oh, absolutely. If you can put them right on the side, if you can close the medical records, if you can put them right up on the table there. Thank you. Did you then ask her how her ear got hurt or how it was injured?
Yes.
Okay. Can I ask you, in terms of examining, treating, and evaluating somebody, why is that important for you to know?
Yes. So if a child tells me their ear hurts, I ask them more about why it hurts or if it was injured in any way. An ear hurt can mean that there's an infection. An ear hurt can mean there's an injury. A follow-up question to why an ear hurts is very important. Those are very different pathologies.
Okay, and so depending on the answer that you're provided with, you know whether you're essentially swabbing for an ear infection or looking for something deeper or more meaningful. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and again, without saying anything just yet, did Elwyn give you, and not telling us what she said, just trying to be very clear, did Elwyn explain to you how her ear was hurt?
When I asked what happened to her ear, how her ear was hurt,
She
provided an answer, yes.
Okay. And based on her answer, did you have an understanding of what you needed to look for or do next?
Yes.
Okay. And based on her answer, were you able to determine a way that you were going to treat her medically or evaluate her medically?
I would say her answer in combination with a physical exam.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
Is this whole trial going to be like this? Couple questions and approach. Couple questions and approach. Jeez. Let's move it along, people. This is going to take forever. I missed a lot of objections too. But this is a more interesting case than the last one that we started and bailed on, because I want to hear from him. I want to hear his side of the story. Because if she was aggressive in any kind of way, if he thought the kids were in danger in any kind of way, I feel like I need to hear him out. But if he just was mad at her because she was going to move with the kids and he just went over there and got a gun and shot her, that's a completely different issue. So I really want to watch and see what happens in this trial. 10 days. That's not bad. 10 days isn't bad for a trial. We have sat through much longer trials. I just wish they would quit going up to the stupid bench all the time. Why do we need to have a discussion about every other question? Just object and move on. There's got to be an exception to hearsay in this case. I don't know all the exceptions to hearsay, so I don't know what it would be. Because for this one, you don't want not for the truth of the matter asserted, because this is one of his charges. So I don't think you can use that one.
Dr. Robertson, when you inquired as to Elowen's injuries and asked her how she had gotten hurt or how her ear had become hurt, what did she tell you?
The exact quote is in my record. Am I able to?
What do you remember her telling you?
I remember her telling me that something along the lines of, Daddy hurt Mom and me. There was a lot of blood.
Did you follow that up by asking her if she was hurt anywhere else on her body?
Yes.
That was leading.
Did she indicate whether she was hurt anywhere else?
Again, my record, I believe, it says she gave me a vague answer of yes, but couldn't pinpoint anywhere else specifically that hurt.
Okay.
Oh,
And I
her
see you
heart
hesitating a little
hurt.
bit. Looking at State's Exhibit 17, help refresh your recollection.
Little heart hurt. Her little heart hurt. That's what hurt.
Yeah. So yes, I asked her if anything else on her body hurt. She stated yes, but when asked to point where, she says, I don't know.
Now, based on hearing that information, that the dad hurt her and Mom and there was blood, was there anything else that you had to consider besides her ear in terms of your examination or evaluation?
Yes.
Why can't you just object like a normal lawyer? This woman's on maternity leave. She just wants to get home to her baby. She doesn't want to be here. Look at her. I also want to know if he had legal custody of the kids, too. Because if they weren't married, and he does not have a court order that says that he's the father, he was definitely in the wrong. It was joint custody.
said, I think that what she had told me.
Yes, I didn't
Was
have,
that, so in looking at these records, would those refresh your recollection as to the full statement that
Yes,
she gave? Okay.
yes.
You could go ahead and take a look. Just to the statement that she gave you, and when you had an opportunity to refresh your recollection, you can put that document aside.
Okay.
Did she, was the information that you gave us, which was that dad hurt me and mom, is that the full context of what Ellen had told you?
No.
Okay, what did she say?
Mom and dad were fighting and dad. Mom and,
Sustained.
The document is now aside. Did that help refresh your recollection as to what Ellen told you?
yes.
I know it's about a year and a half ago, so I understand. What did Ellen tell you?
Mom and dad were fighting. Dad hurt mom and me. There was a lot of blood.
Based on the fact that blood was mentioned, you had indicated just a minute ago that that made you have to look a little bit differently at Ellen. Is that fair to say? Bad way of phrasing it, so I apologize.
Yes, I mean, my job was to generally look for injuries on her. The fact
Now,
that,
based on the information that she gave you, what kind of an examination or how did you examine Ellen Duren?
so based on that information, her complaint of some sort of pain or problem with her ear, I did a more full ear exam, which just basically on a child was looking in their ear, moving around the ear. In general, how I examined her is she received a full exam. I checked her skin all over her body for signs of injury. I, did a neuro exam where I observed how she was communicating with me, how she was moving her extremities, checked her pupils, looked at her eyes, looked at her mouth, her nose, listened to her heart and lungs, felt her abdomen.
Okay, and in conducting that examination, is it fair to say that you didn't find any injuries on her body?
Correct.
Okay, and her neurological, like her talking to you and her movement of her limbs was fine?
Yes, her neuro
Ruled out
exam.
any possibility that she had any head injuries as well, correct?
Yes, she had a normal neuro exam.
Now, with respect to the ear, when somebody comes in and complains of ear pain, did you have any information that you had received that you used for the purpose of medically diagnosing what may have been wrong with her ear?
Yes.
What information did you use to help figure out what her ear pain may have been caused by?
As in like what I was told by pre-hospital people?
So before, when you say pre-hospital.
Sorry,
you mean-
police, EMS, fire.
Okay, so
Yeah.
when Ellen came into the emergency department, she was accompanied by ambulance first, and then there were police officers with her, correct?
Correct.
And
When
you
I saw
received-
her, she was in a room already, so I don't know who exactly walked her into the emergency room.
Perfect. When you saw her and she was in the room, was she by herself, or were there officers with her?
There were officers with her. I do not remember whether I asked them to step out or not. I do and don't. Sometimes it depends.
Perfect. Were you able to diagnose in any way what her ear pain was caused by?
I was able to deduce what I thought likely caused her ear pain.
Okay, and what, if anything, was your, and when I look at records, there's the words MDM, or the letters MDM in the medical records. What does
Yeah.
that mean?
That's the medical decision-making portion of the physician note, which is basically where I discuss, what I think is going on with the patient. So if a patient has ear pain, that's where I sometimes explicitly list all the possibilities of what ear pain could be, or sometimes I just list the pertinent negative things, like it's, was not infected, was not this, and then come to some sort of conclusion.
Okay, so based on all of the information that you had from Elowen and from all of the other persons that you talked to when you were gathering the history and information you needed for your medical diagnosis, first of all, did you see anything when you conducted a physical exam of her ear?
No.
Okay, and you looked inside of it with that pointy thing with the light?
The otoscope, yeah.
Thank you. So did you or were you able to make that diagnosis?
Yes, the diagnosis that I came to is one that there's not a test that proves it, so.
Okay. And what did you indicate was your diagnosis with respect to Elowen's ear pain?
I think that she had injury to her ear due to loud noises, being in close proximity to a loud noise.
Court's indulgence. I have no other questions for this witness. I'm just going to collect the exhibit and give it to the mother.
Based on your physical examination of Elowen, and what information you had from her and other sources, you determined that the ear pain that she was complaining of was most likely due to secondary lateral noises, correct?
Correct.
And there was no evidence of perforated eardrum, correct?
Correct.
No trauma to the ear.
No physical trauma to the ear. Correct.
No outward signs of trauma, correct?
Correct.
And she appeared well kept and well nourished.
She was. Yes.
No more questions, thank you.
No questions.
Okay, can Dr. Robertson be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. The state Caitlyn. Sir, could you please raise your right hand? You swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth under the pain and penalty of perjury?
I swear.
Thank you. Please take a seat. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury and tell them your name and spell your last name?
I am Nicholas Post. Last name is P-O-S-T. I am a trooper with the New Hampshire State Police Major Crime Unit.
Trooper, how long have you been with the state police?
Just over 12 years.
I apologize, Your Honor. I thought there was a technical issue.
Hey, John.
So, apologize, Trooper, you've been with the New Hampshire State Police for 12 years,
Yes.
and you're currently assigned to the Major Crime Unit.
Yes.
How long have you been with the Major Crime Unit?
It'll be 3 years in December.
Trooper, do you have any experience processing crime scenes?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us what it means to process a crime scene?
Crime scene is preserving and documenting the scene as best as found it and preserving evidence for later prosecution.
Specifically, do you have any experience documenting vehicles as part of your investigation?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And do the same principles apply when you are documenting a vehicle?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Trooper, were you part of the investigation into the investigation of the death of Caitlyn Naffziger in Berlin, New Hampshire?
Yes, I was.
On March 2nd of 2024, did you participate in a search of a vehicle?
Yes, I did.
What kind of vehicle was that?
It was a 2017 white Subaru Impreza.
Do you remember what the license plate was?
I do not. I know it was a New Hampshire veterans plate.
Where did you search that vehicle?
At our Major Crime Belmont facility.
And that was on March 2nd of 2024?
Yes, it was.
How did you document your search of that vehicle?
We took photographs, notes, and seized any evidence that was illustrated in the search warrant we obtained for the vehicle.
So the search was conducted pursuant to a warrant?
Yes.
When that car came to you, or when you first observed the car, did it have any seals on the door?
Poor TV. Not again.
And so those seals were not broken?
They were not broken.
he's a trooper, but he's said he's doing a search warrant on a vehicle. In Florida, different.
So
It's
how many,
different. Troopers police the road.
Present during that search of the vehicle?
I believe 3, including myself.
So I don't know.
And when you searched that white Subaru Impreza, did you photograph the contents of the vehicle?
Yes, it was photographed by TFC Amanda Johnson.
When you were present, you observed the vehicle as it was photographed?
Yes, I did.
Were the contents of the vehicle photographed as they were found in place?
Yes, they were.
Were those items then removed and photographed again?
Yes.
When they were photographed again, where were they photographed?
They were photographed on the floor on top of a piece of white butcher paper.
Why was it done that way?
So they can be spread out. There's nothing blocking or concealing any kind of item.
Trooper, I'm handing you a number of photographs here. These are marked for ID as states 19A through J and 23A through N. Can you please look at those?
Yes.
You and me both, Judy. No, this is in New Hampshire. My dad was a trooper in Florida. He just did traffic,
have.
not just traffic, but
These are photos of the white Subaru Impreza that I processed on March 2nd.
see, we have in Florida, we have FDLE. They are the big guns that there are state police. So, state police that investigate crimes in Florida are the FDLE. The Florida Highway Patrol troopers, they do highway investigations. They will assist FDLE and local law enforcement and other things. My dad has helped, apprehend criminals and other stuff, but it's mainly, traffic stuff, accidents, Amber Alerts, that kind of thing. But some states have, like Massachusetts, they have troopers that investigate crime. So apparently New Hampshire does too. But what I don't get, this guy is what I think of as like CSI, because he's processing a car. To me, that's like a CSI, like a technician, like not the actual trooper. So I don't understand, because I'm used to our division in Florida. Florida Highway Patrol. Isn't it? Aren't troopers highway patrol? Highway. Why is it highway if it's not highway? Or troopers, are they? Well, no, I guess they're called state police, though, aren't they? But I'm confused. Trooper to me means highway, but I guess not. Yeah, I don't know. It's different. It varies state to state. So, I mean, and I'm not trying to get technical or like, bitchy about it. I just get confused because growing up with my dad as a trooper in Florida, I thought all troopers were just strictly highway stuff, like accident, fugitives, runaways, Amber Alert, that kind of stuff you catch on the road. But I guess not in every state. Like we have, like SLED in South Carolina. They have SLED, and their troopers are troopers, just like Florida. So it varies, and I get confused when I watch stuff with troopers because I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Really, I saw that parrot. Oh my gosh. That parrot video is hilarious. Hilarious. Carla sent me that video. Oh my gosh. That was so funny. Oh, that was so funny. I loved it. I've not seen the cat ones though. I gotta find the cat ones. Or send me the cat ones. Because that parrot one is hilarious. It is absolutely gold. Hey, Robbie.
These photos show the interior of that vehicle as it was found,
Yes, they do.
and also the contents of that vehicle.
All right, come on,
Yes.
StreamYard.
At this point, the state moves to introduce its full exhibit. States 19A through J inclusive, and 23A through N as in Nancy. Yep.
Did you ever find me on Discord, John? The one I saw where there was like 2 cops and the parent was giving them problems, and then they brought in more cops and the parent was mouthing off to them, and then there were more cops. And the cops just laughed and laughed and laughed. I've only seen one. And I think Carla sent it to me. I have links on my page for. Do I have my links to Instagram on my page? What do I have links for? I've got my Twitter, my Instagram, and my Facebook. I don't have my Discord link on here. My Twitter and my Instagram links on here, and my email address should be here somewhere too. Where's my email address? I know it's on here somewhere. I don't see it. Is it program?
Who are you gonna call? You are arrested, Perry. You are a criminal. You are a criminal. You're going to cage. You got any illegal thing inside, buddy? You have any information about the crime scene?
Thank you, Robbie. Okay. I have a friend that had an African gray, and her sister-in-law, her two sister-in-laws were coming to visit, and she taught it to say, Yankees go home. And I don't remember what happened. I don't even know if I found out what happened. But man, I love that bird. I could be sitting there on the couch watching TV. And the bird would go, "What you doing?" I'm like, "I'm watching TV. What are you doing?" "Watching TV." And then a few minutes later, "What you doing?" It's like, "I told you I'm watching TV. What you doing?" But I love that bird. He was so cool. Forgot his name. People, why? Why do we have to have this in-depth discussion every time there's a question? I think, you guys, we're going to start the lunch session, the afternoon session, a half hour late in this trial because they just cannot help themselves. They can't just object. They have to have a conference every time there's an objection.
Mr. Spicer, you requested.
The state moves to introduce exhibits 23J and 23A through N as
Okay, any objection? Okay, the ID may be stricken with respect to exhibits 19A through J inclusive and with respect to 23A through N inclusive. And they shall be considered as full exhibits.
you propose you have a screen there. I think we can safely do this without having to get up. I'm showing you states 19A. What is this?
This is the 2017 white Subaru Impreza.
And what does the license plate say?
It says V as in Victor 69023. It's a New Hampshire veterans plate.
This is the vehicle you searched as part of that investigation
Yes, it is.
on March 2nd, 2024. Do you see the green pieces of tape over the doors?
Yes, I do.
Is that the tamper seal tape that you talked about earlier?
Yes, they are.
Trooper, I'm showing you states 23A. What does this show?
This shows the front passenger side area of the vehicle.
Is this as it was when you found it?
Yes, it is.
And what items do you see there?
See a pillow, fruit cups, a blanket.
Did we learn that from you, Marty?
Now showing you states 23B. What is this?
This is the contents of the front passenger side area.
Okay, so these contents been removed for photographs?
Yes.
Is it that same pillow and blanket that you saw in the front seat?
Yes, it is.
This is states 23C. What are these?
These are the remaining items from that front passenger's area.
Can you tell the jury what those are?
Is fruit cups, pajama pants, a diary, paper towels, a water bottle, and cleaning wipes
Are those pajama pants for an adult or a child?
for an adult.
Showing you states 19B. What do you see here?
This is the rear passenger's area behind the driver.
And what do you see here?
See a car seat, some food, water on the floor, a bottle inside the car seat, and what appears to be a pink jacket.
This is states 19C. What is this?
This is a view of the same area looking towards it's from the rear driver's side passenger area, looking towards the right of the vehicle.
What do you see on the far side of that car?
See a pillow. It looks like some kind of door that's hanging from the seat that could store things.
states 23D, what is here?
There's water, pink jacket, and crackers, and the off the camera to the left is the car seat.
And where did these come from?
These came from the rear passenger driver's side area.
And that black item there, is that the item you were referring to earlier?
That's the item that was attached to the back of the driver's seat.
States 23E, what are these items?
This is fruit snacks, crackers, water, booster seat, and men's underwear.
So on the left of this image, is that same black item?
Yes,
So did these items come from the same part of the car?
yes.
States 23F, what are we looking at here?
This is the rear area of the car, looking from the passenger side, to the right of the vehicle, towards the driver's side.
Again, this is how you found it, correct?
Yes, it is.
Before anything was removed? Before anything was removed?
Correct, yes.
States 23G, what items are we looking at here?
It's children's clothing, diapers, baby wipes. Appears clothing. The black electronic, I believe, is some kind of computer device. I'm not sure.
How about the clothing? Are those clothes for children or for adults?
For children.
States 23I, what are we looking at here?
This is clothes for children and for an adult.
So is there a shirt there?
So a shirt there, yes.
Is that a dark green shirt?
Yes, that's an adult size shirt.
And some underwear as well?
Yes,
Adult underwear?
yes,
And then there's a penguin shirt, is that for a kid?
yes.
What are we looking at here, sir? This is 23J.
This is a pillow, 2 jackets, and a mirror for the driver to be able to check on the child in the back seat.
Those jackets, are those for an adult or a child?
For a child.
And there's some sort of plaid item there, what is that?
That appears to be the gray plaid jacket or sweatshirt is what it appears to be.
For an adult or a child?
Child.
This states 23K. What is in this photo?
The 2 articles of clothing in the middle are shirts for an adult.
How about that pink item top right?
Be a hat for a small child.
And then to the left, we can see part of an item. Do you know what that is?
Appears to be a stuffed animal.
What are we looking at here?
This would be adult clothing.
This is 23L. Is there an adult shirt there?
Yes,
As well as some adult-sized blue jeans?
yes.
This is states 23M. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
This would be adult shirts, socks, underwear.
So how many shirts do you see?
See 3, and then there's a black item of clothing that's partially shown.
How many pairs of underwear?
1,
And how many socks?
5 total.
This states 23N, as in Nancy. What are we looking at here?
Be children's clothing on the left. It appears to be an adult shirt on the right and adult underwear.
So there's several pieces of children's clothing here. Can you describe them for us?
The, what appears to be penguin pajamas on the left, the red sweatshirt with stars, the blue long sleeve shirt up top, and the pink shirt in the middle right would be children's clothing.
Trooper, what are we looking at here?
This is the trunk of the white Subaru Impreza.
What's in the trunk?
It had a computer tower and vehicle equipment like jumper cables and car care materials.
When you say a computer tower, do you mean like a desktop computer?
Yes.
Trooper, what are we looking at here?
This is the driver's door.
Any items of interest in that door?
There's a firearm in the driver's door pocket.
Is this how that firearm was found?
Yes.
So this is where that firearm was when the police opened the door?
Yes.
What is this?
This is a Beretta 9mm pistol.
Is this the same firearm that we just saw?
Yes.
Just a closer view? Is this just a closer view?
Yes.
And where is that firearm pointing right now?
The muzzle would be pointing to the left as you look at this picture.
Just for the record, that was states 19E, and the previous one was 19D. I'm not showing you states 19J. Trooper, what is this?
This is a Beretta 9mm pistol.
Is this the pistol that was found in the door of the car?
Yes, it is.
So it's been removed now for more photographs on that paper.
Yes.
Is this the condition of the gun as it was found?
Yes, it is.
Does the magazine appear to be loaded into the gun?
Yes.
Is this the same gun? This is states 19F?
Yes.
So this is the same gun, obviously it looks a little bit different. Can you tell us why?
The magazine was removed from the magazine well, the slide was locked to the rear, and a cartridge was ejected out of the chamber.
So first I want to ask you about that long black object on the right. What is that?
That is the magazine.
And so what is a magazine?
The magazine holds the ammunition for the firearm.
There's something gold and metallic poking out from the top of that magazine. Can you tell us what that is?
Those are the 9mm cartridges for the firearm.
So when you say cartridge, do you mean colloquially a bullet?
Yes.
Ammunition?
Yes.
So again, this is a photo of the gun with the magazine removed. The police did that, correct?
Yes.
And the gun has been obviously manipulated. Could you tell us what was done to the gun?
The slide
Just
on
one.
the firearm was locked to the rear.
What's the slide?
The slide is that top portion that encases the,
And that slide back.
to eject any cartridge that could be inside the chamber of the firearm.
Was a cartridge ejected from the chamber of the firearm?
Yes.
StreamYard had been doing so good, and then they started adding stupid crap to it again.
Chamber?
Yes.
And so when the slide is pulled back like that, does that make this gun safe?
Yes, it cannot be fired in the condition it's in currently.
Trooper, there's an object there with some letters underneath. Can you tell us what we're looking at?
This is a 9mm cartridge that was ejected from the chamber of the firearm.
So this is the bullet that was in the chamber of the gun?
Yes, it is.
And those letters, what do those indicate?
That is the exhibit number. The A after the 2 would indicate it's a sub-exhibit from the firearm itself, indicating that it was found within the firearm.
And this is states 19G. I'm going to go back to states 19F. What is the exhibit number for the gun?
KPP2.
So the gun is KPP2. Looking again at 19G. The bullet in the chamber is KPP-2A.
Yes.
Trooper, what are we looking at here?
This is the magazine that was inserted into the magazine well of KPP-2.
And what are those items above the magazine?
That is the ammunition that was inside the magazine.
So when this gun was in the magazine,
Yes.
can you tell us how many there are?
Appears 13.
And so does that KPP-2B refer collectively to those rounds and the magazine?
Yes.
I'm showing you marked for ID, this states 20A. Please open this box. For the record, you can use both. Trooper, we'll have you get down and show this in a second, but what do you see in this box?
I see the firearm that was found in the driver's door pocket of the white Subaru.
Is there a marking on this box?
Yes.
And is there an evidence number?
Yes.
What number is that?
KPP-2.
Is that the same KPP-2 that we saw in the photograph for that gun?
Yes, it is.
A couple of other items in here, is that correct?
Yes.
I'm not gonna ask you about those at the moment. Can you please step down, I'll ask you to show this to the jury. All right, before I do that, Your Honor, at this point, the state moves to strike the ID on 20A, introduce it before exhibit.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection. Okay, the identification may be stricken with respect to Exhibit 20A, and it shall be considered a full exhibit.
I'll ask you to just show this to the jury so you can see it. Trooper, there's some zip ties in that box attached to that gun. What is the purpose of those?
It's to secure it inside the box so it doesn't move around. Any trace evidence could fall off it or be destroyed.
Can the gun fire as it is right now?
No.
Thank you. Thanks. You can just put that on the table there. Trooper, I'm handing you two more items, states 20B and 20C for ID. First, I'll ask you about 20B. What is this?
This appears to be 20A. This would have been the cartridge that was found inside the chamber of the firearm KPP-2.
So just for the record, this is states 20B for ID. What evidence number is there on that?
KPP-2A.
KPP-2A, that's the live round that was found in the chamber.
Yes.
Can you please open that?
remove it.
Yes. Is this the same live round that was removed from the gun that we just saw?
Yes.
When you searched it on March 2nd?
Yes.
State moves to introduce 20B as a full exhibit.
The identification may be stricken with respect to 20B, and it shall be considered a full exhibit.
And we'll put that down for now, just somewhere it's not gonna roll away. And now, we will ask you about state's 20C for ID. Does this have an evidence number on it?
Yes, it does.
What's the evidence number?
KPP2B.
And that's the evidence number for the magazine and the ammunition found in it,
Yes.
for that gun that was in the car? that you
Yes.
searched on March 2nd?
Yes.
Please open this as well.
The rounds are stuck to tape.
So you've removed two items from that evidence bag. What are they?
This is the magazine that was located in the magazine well of KPP2 in the cartridges that were inside the magazine.
And those cartridges are in their own plastic bag?
Yes.
correct? Are those the cartridges that were removed from this magazine?
Yes.
At this time, the state moves to strike the ID on 20C.
The identification may be stricken with respect to Exhibit 20C, and it shall be considered a full exhibit.
And so Trooper, I'll have you, if you can carry all three of those things, you could bring them down and show them to the jury. Trooper, if you could put those back into those bags, that'd be great. Trooper, after you recovered those items as part of your search, where did they go?
They went into the bags in front of me today. They were sealed and ultimately brought to the New Hampshire State Police Forensic Laboratory.
I have no more questions.
Yep. Nation of this witness, we will take the mid-afternoon break right now. So again, mid-afternoon break right now. We'll resume at 2:30. And again, please do not discuss the case or the evidence amongst yourselves. Thank you very much.
All rise.
Wait. Oh, we weren't caught up to the live. We were almost up to the live. No, not a white Bronco, a white Subaru. I'm hungry. You guys, I don't think my medicine is working anymore. And the other medicine that I can get on if I want to, like I can get a prescription for it, the good stuff, the GLP stuff, although it's dangerous, like some people have died on it. I don't want to die. I just want to lose the rest of this weight. It's $500 a month. I can't afford it. What, a white Bronco? You call them kangaroos? What? I don't think they're arguing. I think they're just talking. What's the most boring state on the planet? The same thing, isn't it? And forever at infinity, the same thing. For the first time in forever. So Wiggles, how did your test go yesterday? Hearing people ask who what. Oh. Well, just it was okay or it was awful. That's all I want to know. You don't have to give me a play by play. Just to me, the prep is worse than the actual test. To me, the actual test is the best nap ever. I don't mind the test. What are you doing, cameraman? I thought the break was going to be until 2:30. It's after 2:30. Mike. Yeah, exactly. She slept through it. I woke up during mine one time. Yep, that too. I have a fear of waking up while I'm intubated because. Will you settle down, please? Because when my mom was in the hospital, when she had her heart surgery right before she died, she was on a ventilator and she tried to talk to me, and I could see the tube moving while she tried to talk. So I I had an endoscopy and a colonoscopy once. And I said, please don't let me wake up with a tube down my throat. Please, please, please. And I'll be dang if I didn't wake up. But they said, don't worry about it. I'm right here. I'll put you right back to sleep. And they did. I opened my eyes and saw her, and then I'm
hope so.
right back out. He is not starving. You can see this dog. He's a chunky monkey. He is not. He just thinks he is. My yarn spike.
All rise for the honorable jury.
You make everybody think I mistreat you, Spike. And I don't.
Wabash County Superior Court again is in session with the Honorable Jonathan F. Purcell presiding.
Thank you, please be seated. And Trooper, you're still on roll, sir.
This one does too.
I'm sorry.
And you're still on roll.
Yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Trooper. How familiar are you with the Beretta 9mm pistol?
I'm not very familiar, no.
Oh, okay, so that's not what you, that's not your service weapon?
No.
Okay. Are you aware of its safety features based on your handling of
In
this
the
case?
photos, yes.
Okay. Why don't I have you then step down to get closer to the jury with exhibits 19J, 19F. Would you mind holding it? Thank you. So 19F you're holding. Is the little lever that we see here, is that the safety?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And right now the safety is pointed down, which means it's on, correct?
Correct. Usually there would be a red dot showing when the safety is off.
Okay. And so to turn the safety off, you would push that lever up
Yes.
and a red dot would show.
Yes.
Okay. And when the gun was found in the driver's side pocket, the safety was on, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Also, that picture, again, this is a picture of the pistol with the magazine inserted?
Yes.
Okay. And 19F is a picture of the pistol.
Can we just correct the record?
Yes.
The photo with the magazine inserted is 19J.
Thank you. 19J is photo of the 9mm with the magazine inserted. 19F is the photo with the 9mm with the magazine not inserted.
Yes.
Okay.
Spike.
Now
Cooper
in
said hi. He barked at you.
19F, here, I'll switch it.
What's a birdie?
The
Hiding.
slide is pulled back.
Yes.
Okay. And that, someone manipulated that after taking it to the,
Birdie
Yes.
can't hit you up.
When it was seized from the vehicle, it was manipulated.
and was it, when it was seized from the vehicle, manipulated, was that to check if it was loaded?
Yes, to render it safe.
Whether
Yes.
it's, okay. And you pull the slide back, and there's some sort of lever that pops up, right?
Yes.
Okay, what would you call that?
That would be the slide locking lever.
The slide locking lever. Okay, and that would be another safety mechanism, correct?
Yes.
And the, is it fair to say that in our picture?
In the show.
The magazine is inserted, the safety is on. In order to fire it, you have to put the safety up and pull the trigger, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And so, it will not fire are using a magazine, and this magazine has 15 total projectiles, cartridges, bullets, right?
It has a 15 capacity.
15 capacity.
13.
Yes.
Yes.
When it started, it had 15 capacity, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So if someone inserted the full 15 bullet capacity
Mike!
magazine in this pistol, they would have to slide the rack back, correct?
Correct.
Why?
Back already.
If it wasn't back already. Turn the safety up or off, correct? For the record,
Yes.
sorry. Are you putting this up? Okay. And pull the trigger.
Yes.
Okay. And because there's a magazine in this pistol, and it's a semi-automatic pistol, the next bullet from the magazine would automatically cycle up to the chamber, correct?
Correct. Yes.
So if it was functioning correctly in this scenario with the 15 capacity magazine, and it was started out with a full magazine, after firing one bullet, you would anticipate there would be a second bullet in the chamber, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And you could not fire it unless the safety was turned off and you pulled the trigger.
Yes.
And you found it in the vehicle, driver's side pocket door, with the safety engaged. It was on, correct?
Correct.
So it would not have fired a bullet as is.
Correct.
Thank you. Have a seat for a second. I just have to check my questions. I have no more questions. Thank you, Trooper.
Reader?
Just briefly, Your Honor. Trooper Post, you mentioned that the safety was on, and you talked about pulling the slide back. Fair to say that there are a number of steps that need to be taken before a bullet can be fired from a gun like this?
Yes.
So that the purpose of those, would that be that the gun doesn't go off accidentally?
Correct.
So that when the gun fires, it's because the person wanted to fire it?
Yes.
No more questions.
Nothing further.
Okay, can Trooper Post be excused?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, please. Should see his name. Looks about right. Your Honor, at this time, the state would call Jill Terrio. Terrio, please take the witness stand for me. Just remain standing and raise your right hand. Now look at me. Ms. Terrio, do you swear that the testimony that you're about to give today is the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You may lower your head and have a seat. There's some water, I believe, up there and some cups perhaps if you would like to take some and be ready for that or whenever you need to. If you do need to take a break at any time, just let me know.
Okay, great, thank you.
And you just did it, so I don't even have to tell you. The microphone a little bit closer. So if I could have you just go ahead and introduce yourself to these jurors by stating your name, spelling your last name for the record.
Yes, my name is Jill Terrio. Last name is spelled T as in Tom, Herriault.
Ms. Terrio, where do you work?
I'm currently employed by the New Hampshire State Police Forensic Laboratory in Concord.
And what is the New Hampshire State Police Forensic Laboratory?
The forensic lab that's associated with the state police is the only forensic laboratory within the state that handles examining evidence from all the municipalities and jurisdictions within New Hampshire.
For about how long have you worked with the New Hampshire State Police Forensic Laboratory?
It'll be 6 years this December.
Is it okay if I call it the laboratory or the forensic lab?
That's fine, yes.
Perfect. Now, are you assigned inside of the lab to a specific unit?
Yes, I am.
And what's that unit?
In the laboratory, I'm assigned to the pattern evidence unit.
And inside it, well, before I ask you what your job assignment is inside of that unit, what is the pattern evidence unit?
The pattern evidence unit of the forensic laboratory is composed of forensic science examiners who look at items that have patterns. So that would be the latent print examiners, that would be myself as a firearms examiner, as well as examiners who look at shoe and tire track impressions.
Okay. Now, you've indicated you're a firearms examiner. What's your current title with the lab?
Currently, I am a forensic scientist 3 in the pattern evidence unit.
Okay, and as a forensic scientist 3, you specifically conduct firearms examinations?
Yes, one of my duties, or the area that I examine for forensic evidence is firearms and tool marks, and I also conduct examinations of shoe and tire tracks.
What kind of work do you do for, and you've described it as examinations, but as a firearms examiner, what kinds of things are you examining?
In my capacity, I'm looking at bullets, at cartridge cases, at firearms. Those are all types of pieces of evidence that would be collected from a crime scene and submitted to the laboratory. And I examine those items with a variety of different pieces of equipment at the lab to determine whether or not a bullet or a cartridge case was fired from a particular firearm.
And when you talk about bullets or cartridge cases, sometimes do people refer to that as ballistics evidence?
They do, yes.
Okay. Now, you also indicated that you're a firearms and tool mark examiner. What do you mean by tool mark examiner? What's that?
Well, tool mark examination is sort of a broad overview of my particular discipline of forensic science. In one respect, you could consider a firearm as a tool, and the items that are fired through it are items that receive those tool marks. But also, tool marks can encompass any types of marks that are left behind from a tool. So, for example, if someone had tried to break into a building using something to pry open a window, they're using a tool, and that tool is leaving marks, say, for example, on a windowsill or on the opening where a window would be. Or if someone, for example, say they were breaking through a chain link fence and they used a set of bolt cutters to cut through the links on the fence. There are marks that are left behind from those bolt cutters on those individual pieces of wire, and I would examine those pieces of wire to determine whether or not it was a particular set of bolt cutters, for example, that cut those pieces of the chain link fence.
So I want to speak a little bit generally, just so we understand what your job is. With respect to firearms, what kinds of examinations can you perform that are either tool mark related or related in some other capacity to a firearm?
Well, one of the types of examinations that I would conduct would actually be on a firearm itself, and that would be called an operability examination or a function exam. And that is to determine how a firearm that was submitted to the lab is currently functioning in its current condition. So I have a variety of steps that I follow to examine the firearm, determine its operability, is it safe, is there anything wrong with it, is it going to fire in the way that I expect it to, what are the safety features of it, with the end result of actually selecting ammunition from the laboratory to supply and test firing that firearm. Now, the other part of the types of examinations I would do would be on bullets and cartridge cases, looking at those using a microscope.
Next question.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
With
I apologize.
It's okay. Just with respect to ballistics, those ballistics items that you're talking about, bullets and casings, when you generally are talking about examinations of those, can you go ahead and explain to us what those examinations would be?
Yes, so looking at bullets and cartridge cases collected from a crime scene, there's various features that would be left behind on those items from the gun that fired it. And I'll use a variety of equipment at the lab to look at those items to determine specifically whether or not they were fired in a particular gun.
Now, for all of these things that you do with tool mark examination, firearms examinations, ballistics examinations, do you have any kind of education, training that allows you to do this type of analysis and work?
Yes, I do.
Can you go ahead and describe that for us?
Well, before I got started in the field, I did receive my Bachelor of Science degree from Rutgers University in 2001. But the main course of my, or rather the main area where I learned how to become a firearms examiner was with my employment with the Miami-Dade Police Department down in Miami, Florida. When I was hired on by that department in the forensic lab down there, I began an in-house training program that was conducted under the supervision of a senior firearms examiner. And that 2-year training program included learning how firearms operate, learning about ammunition and how ammunition and firearms function together, using the equipment in the lab to look at those pieces of evidence, as well as other types of testing that a firearms examiner would conduct. So again, that training period was 2 years long. And in addition to that, in 2004, when I began working at Miami-Dade, I was also selected by the ATF, which is the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, to participate in their 1-year National Firearms Examiner Academy. And that 1-year program that was in conjunction with my in-house training consisted of examiners from all different laboratories across the country that were my instructors. And again, learning about guns, how they operate, how bullets and cartridge cases interact with guns, how to examine bullets and cartridge cases under a microscope, as well as several other types of testing that a firearms examiner would do.
And you mentioned that you were previously employed in Miami-Dade as a firearms examiner, it sounds like. Is that correct?
That's right.
For how long have you held a position as a firearms examiner or as a firearms and tool mark examiner?
Now it's been over 20 years. So I spent 10 years at the Miami-Dade lab down in Miami, Florida. I spent 6 years as the section supervisor of the Connecticut State Forensic Laboratory. And for the last almost 6 years, I've been here in New Hampshire.
In addition to conducting your own examinations of firearms and ballistics evidence, do you also serve as sort of a peer reviewer or review analyses that are conducted by other people in the department for accuracy?
Yes, I do.
Is that a standard procedure for the state lab?
It is, yes.
So is it fair to say that any work that you do, there's another person who checks your work?
It is, yes.
Now, while you've been employed either in any of your agencies that you've worked with, Miami-Dade, Connecticut, or here at the New Hampshire State Lab, have you undergone continuing education as you've been employed?
Yes, I have.
Okay, what kinds of continuing education have you had?
Well, as a member of an organization called the Association of Firearm and Tool Mark Examiners, I'm able to attend, excuse me, attend training seminars that organization holds once every year in different cities across the United States. And that training is a week long and encompasses technical presentations by my peers. There's smaller workshops, but that's typically about 30 to 40 hours of training for that week. And in addition to other types of training that may become available, such as like firearms courses, that would be called armorers courses that teach a student how a particular make or model of firearm operates, like taking it apart, putting it together, troubleshooting, and other types of webinars, forensic-related webinars that might be available to stay current on the topics in the field.
Do you undergo, as part of your position with the New Hampshire State Lab, any type of proficiency examination pertaining to your work as a firearms or ballistic evidence examiner?
Yes, I do.
Can you explain that for us?
Proficiency testing is a type of testing to ensure that forensic scientists are competent in their field. The laboratory will receive from a private company essentially a practical test. I don't know what the answer is to it. It could be, for example, in the field of, it could be firearms related, so it could be bullets, it could be cartridge cases. And that type of testing to test my skills to ensure that I'm competent in conducting this type, where I would examine those pieces that are, again, the answers are unknown to me. And
So you're being provided with physical items for you to conduct an examination on, and that's the test. It's not a written test you're talking about.
correct, it's a hands-on practical test, so bullets or cartridge cases. And once I've completed that, those results get sent to that company, that outside company that maintains these tests. And my answers are checked, and that reporting, or that those results are reported back to the laboratory.
Over the years, and I guess let me just ask you this, is there a certification or a need for certification to perform your job?
There's not a need for it, like a requirement, but I do hold a certification in firearms identification.
Can you
And
explain what that is?
so through the professional organization that I belong to, the Association of Firearm and Tool Mark Examiners, they do offer certification in 3 areas. So in firearms examination, in gunshot residue, and also in tool marks. So I hold a certification in firearms examination. I've held that since 2009. And to maintain that certification, one has to attain a certain number of continuing education credits for each year that you maintain your certification. And so that goes along with attending the conferences and things of that nature to maintain those certification points.
Over the years, if you know, at least that you've been at the state lab here in New Hampshire, do you know approximately how many examinations you conduct or have conducted with respect to firearms and ballistics evidence?
Oh gosh, I couldn't give you a number off the top of my head. Trying to think of the number of cases that I do per year. It would be pretty numerous, I would say.
Now, have you previously testified in court as an expert witness in the area of firearms and ballistics evidence examinations?
Yes, I have.
Approximately how many times?
Between Florida, Connecticut, and here in New Hampshire, it's been over 100 times.
And you have been qualified here in the courts in the state of New Hampshire as an expert witness in that area?
Yes, I have.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would offer Jill Terrio as an expert witness in the area of firearms and ballistics evidence.
No objection.
The court hereby recognizes Ms. Terrio in the areas identified as an expert witness.
Thank you. Ms. Terrio, with respect to the case that you've been called here to testify about today, can you explain to the jury how you received this case or became involved in this case for examination?
Well, these items of evidence that are related to firearms, they are submitted to the laboratory for a series of testing that goes on, whether that's latent prints or DNA. The firearms unit is typically the last unit to examine those items that have been submitted for analysis. So once the other units have completed their testing on a particular set of items, then it would be my turn to conduct that. And as of the time of when this case took place and when these items were submitted to the laboratory, there's 2 of us in the pattern evidence unit that can conduct firearms examinations, one of which is my supervisor. So typically any type of casework that would come into the laboratory would fall to me.
Before we really get started, I want to show you some physical items and see if you recognize what these are. So the first item I'm going to show you is what is in evidence, and please, if you need a minute, just go ahead.
Oh, I do.
Absolutely, take your time.
Okay, thank you.
There are gloves there. There was another box somewhere, but those are, if you need them.
Okay.
So I'm showing you what is in evidence in States Exhibit 20A. For the current moment, I'm just going to ask you to look at the item and not remove it from its container.
Yes.
I mean, it's in evidence, but it just. And associated with that item, I'm also showing you States Exhibit 20B. Please be careful, that's loose. And 20C.
Okay.
With respect to States Exhibit 20A, is this the firearm that you received to examine related to this case?
Yes, it is.
And with respect to States Exhibit 20B, is that the magazine for that firearm and its related ammunition that you received?
Let's see, 20, I'm sorry, which exhibit was it?
20B?
20B.
Oh, I went backwards, so I apologize. Is 20B the live cartridge that you received as part of evidence with this weapon?
Yes, it is.
And with respect to States Exhibit 20C, is that the magazine for that firearm?
Yes, it is.
And there's also related unfired ammunition, is that fair to say?
In that item, yes.
Just correct my notes, I apologize.
Hey, is that correct? Quit saying, is that fair to say? I hate that. And now I hate it even more after hearing Brooke say it 11 times.
I'm going to show you what I've marked for identification purposes as 24, A, B, and C. If you could take a look at those items, let me know if you recognize them.
Yes, I do recognize these.
What are they?
These are enlargements of photographs that I took of the items of evidence that I examined in this case.
Your Honor, at this time, the state makes a striking identification on State Exhibits 24A, B, and C, and it is in this folder.
No objection.
The ID may be stricken with respect to 24A, B, and C, and they shall be considered full exhibits.
Now, as you look at, I took them away. If you need them back, let me know. But State's Exhibit 24A that you just looked at, that photograph of the weapon,
Yes,
is that consistent with how Exhibit 20A looks now?
it is, yes.
Just so that we can all look at things together. Maybe. Apparently I forgot how a pointer works. There we go. So I've got up on the screen, and you should have it next to you, and it should be in front for the jury to see as well, State's Exhibit 24A. And you've indicated that State's Exhibit 20A, as you look at it, it's in the same sort of position now.
The photograph on the screen here is how I received it when I first, before I did any examination of it. And how it's in front of me is in a slightly different position as far as its position inside of the box, but it appears to be in the same condition that when it left my custody.
So with respect to that weapon, when you received it, can you explain to us how you begin an examination as to that item?
So to examine a firearm that comes to me at the forensic laboratory, first, like we have in the photo here, I want to document how I received it. So I'll take a photograph of the outside of the package and then a photograph of the items that are inside of that package. And here we have a pistol, another plastic bag that was created by another examiner at the laboratory, and my little blue ruler that's in the photo. The first steps for my examination of a firearm, well, first I will take it out of the box, ensure that what's in the box is supposed to be there, and make sure that there's nothing missing. But my first steps for examining it are essentially walking through and looking at first the make, the model, and the serial number that's typically stamped somewhere on the firearm. And then I have a series of steps that I go through, and I have a worksheet that walks me through just documenting the physical condition of the gun. So again, make, model, serial number, the safety features that this firearm has, the overall condition of it, like is it in good condition? Does it look like it's a little beat up? The overall condition of it. I will look down the gun barrel to see if there's any obstructions, and there's also some characteristics inside of the gun barrel that are visible to your naked eye. I will note some characteristics that are inside of the gun barrel. One of the tests that I will conduct is to determine how many pounds of pressure it takes to pull the trigger on this particular gun, and to see if whether or not this gun is susceptible to any type of accidental discharge. So once I've walked through all of that, gathered all of that information, my next step would then be to test fire the firearm.
Before we get to there, with respect to this weapon as you received it, were you able to determine what the make and model are?
Yes, I did.
And what were those?
This is a 9mm caliber Beretta semi-automatic pistol, and the model is 92FS, F as in Frank, S as in Sam.
And were you able to locate the serial number on this weapon?
Yes, I was.
And what's the serial number?
The serial number is B as in Bob, E as in Edward, R 401806.
Were you able to evaluate the condition of this weapon?
Yes.
And what was the condition of it?
It was in good condition, and once I was done, it functioned as I expected.
Now, can you explain this weapon? What kind of weapon is this? Is it in terms of the way that it fires?
This pistol shown here is what's considered a semi-automatic pistol.
Can you explain to us how it is that a semi-automatic pistol fires?
There's a number of steps that occur when firing a semi-automatic pistol, but the semi-automatic part refers to the number of rounds that it'll fire when the trigger is pulled. So semi-automatic means that to fire one round, you have to pull the trigger once. So with each shot, it would be one pull of the trigger. Essentially, this type of gun would take a source of ammunition called a magazine. Some folks know it as a clip, but more correctly, it would be called a magazine. A magazine would be filled with live cartridges or rounds of ammunition. That magazine that has ammunition in it will then get placed into the grip or the handle part of the firearm. Now, in order to make this particular type of gun operate, like in the photograph here that you see on the screen, there's a top part of the firearm called the slide, and it's sort of a top part of it. And in the photograph here, it's what's called the open position. So if one were to take a magazine and put it inside of the grip or the magazine well, and you were to use a button to close the slide, that would take a live round of ammunition from the magazine, which is now inside the gun, and take that live round and put it into what's called the chamber of the barrel, of the gun barrel. So at that point, the firearm would be loaded. At that point, the way that this pistol is designed, there's a part called the hammer, which is when you send the slide forward, it'll be in a cocked position, so this firearm will be ready to fire. And then in order to shoot it, you would pull the trigger. The hammer would fall. Pulling the trigger causes the hammer to fall. The hammer will then strike a firing pin, which connects with the live round of ammunition, and through a series of events that happen super fast, that causes the gun to go off. So that'll cause the bullet to travel down the gun barrel due to a whole bunch of heat and energy that's created. So that sends the bullet down the gun barrel. All that heat and energy that's built up will also press against that top part of the gun called the slide. That'll move the slide backwards, and that will then take that now empty cartridge case out of the chamber of the firearm. And when that slide comes back, it's on spring pressure. So when that slide moves back into place, that forward motion will then take a live round of ammunition, put it into the chamber, and at that point, the firearm would be ready to fire again.
When you indicate that when the slide moves back or moves forward and then eject or remove the spent or the fired cartridge casing.
That's correct.
Is that sometimes called an ejector?
There's one portion of one that's called an ejector that when the casing, the empty casing comes in contact with that, that helps to flip it out of the firearm.
When this particular Beretta ejects a cartridge or a casing, does it eject to a particular side?
In general, pistols tend to extract and eject on the right and rearward. But in my experience, that's the general direction it goes in, but sometimes they don't always go that way.
Now, we've got States Exhibit, I've got to make sure I've got them the right numbers. So we've looked at 20C, which is the magazine and the ammunition, correct?
Yes.
24B, which is in evidence on the screen. Is that what you're seeing in States Exhibit 20B?
Yes, that's right.
Can
That's
you
correct.
explain to us what those items are?
So in this picture here, again, this is a photograph that I took of the items that were inside the package. On the left side, that sort of dark gray black item is the magazine, and on the right is a clear plastic bag that was created by a different person from the laboratory who had removed those live cartridges from the magazine.
So I want to show you another photograph that's in evidence, not one of your own, but one that's already in. Looking at States Exhibit 24B and States Exhibit 19H, are these the same items? So that item in 20B is KPP 2B on the bag?
Yes, the bag here says KPP-2B, yes.
Okay. Since they're all just sort of in a bag, is that consistent with the number of items that were recovered from that particular magazine?
Let's see, I have 13 that were taken out of that, and if that is 13. Well, 13, yes, 13 are being showed in the photos.
That magazine for this weapon, the one that you examined in States Exhibit 20C, my notes are messed up, so I apologize, 20C. Can you describe to us how many rounds of ammunition that magazine itself holds?
Yes, I'm just going to refer to my notes to refresh my memory.
If that would refresh your recollection.
Yes, so this magazine is capable of holding 15 cartridges, 15 9mm cartridges.
Now, we've heard the terms throughout this trial and now through your testimony, rounds, live rounds, I'm sure I've used some of them mistakenly. cartridges, projectiles, bullets, casings. Can you explain those terms for us? Like, what kinds of terms are we talking about for the evidence that you examined relevant to this case?
So typically, with the terminology that I would use for a live round, which is perfectly acceptable terminology to call that, is also known as a cartridge. A cartridge is typically made up of 4 components, that being a bullet, a cartridge case, gunpowder, and a primer.
Do you have a demonstrative aid that you have with you today that might be able to help us understand the pieces of a cartridge?
I do.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind. Your Honor, asking permission for the witness to approach the jury in order to demonstrate to them and explain to them the components of a cartridge or a live round.
Certainly.
Okay. Okay, so the item that I have here, this is a plastic model of a live cartridge. It's just plastic, it's oversized, it's not an actual real piece of ammunition. But as I was saying, the cartridge, or a live cartridge is made of 4 components. So first there's the bullet, which is this guy, and this is typically seated in the mouth of a cartridge case. The bullet can be made of a number of different types of materials, sometimes copper, sometimes lead. A cartridge case can be brass, sometimes can be other material as well. Housed inside of this cartridge would be the gunpowder, so that's all filled up in here. So once that has gunpowder in it, the bullet fits in here like this. Now on the back of the cartridge is this little round area here. This is called a primer. And the way that this operates in a firearm is that when this is put into, say we're talking about a semi-automatic pistol, when this is put into the chamber of the gun and the trigger is pulled, the firing pin from the gun will strike this primer. The primer is made of a shock-sensitive material. So when that firing pin strikes it, it causes a small detonation, which then in turn causes the gunpowder to burn, and that's what builds up all that heat and energy that sends the bullet down the barrel of the firearm. And depending on what type of firearm you're shooting, this empty cartridge case can be extracted and ejected, or again, depending on the gun, it can remain inside the firearm.
So, for comparison purposes, what parts of a cartridge or a live round are you able to use to conduct a comparison or to examine as part of your work as a ballistics or firearms examiner?
So the parts that I would be interested in comparing would be the bullet that was fired from the gun, so these things are now separate. Bullets can be collected from crime scenes or autopsies or things anywhere where crimes occurred with a shooting. The cartridge case is another item because the gun has come in contact with that primer area. There's some other marks that are left behind from the gun on the primer that I would be interested in. And then on the surface of the bullet, because that has traveled down the gun barrel, it picks up scratch marks from the inside of the gun barrel, and that's what I'll be looking at, both visually unaided with a microscope as well as under a microscope to look at these marks.
When you talk about scratches in terms of what you're examining, can you explain that to us? What kinds of scratches are these? How are they created?
Well, when we're talking about that type of marking that's left behind on a bullet, the inside of the gun barrel is, it has areas of what's called lands and grooves, which are areas of high and low that are carved into the gun barrel by the manufacturer. They do it on purpose. That causes the bullet to spin when it exits, kind of like the way a quarterback throws a pass, he throws a spiral. A bullet is traveling in that spiral motion as well, and that keeps it stable as it's traveling. Because the bullet is a snug fit inside of that gun barrel, those areas of high and low are going to scratch or scrape that surface of the bullet. So as it's traveling, it's gaining these marks from the inside of the gun barrel, and that's what I use to do a comparison of, say, 2 bullets to each other, or to a bullet from a scene to a bullet that I have test fired.
Thank you. You had indicated that your examination of these types of ballistic evidence occurs partially visually, but then with a microscope.
Correct.
Can you explain to us is it like the microscope I used to use in science class, or is it something different?
It's similar to the one we had in science class. The device that I use is called a comparison microscope that takes 2 of those types of microscopes connects them through a series of mirrors and prisms that lets the user look through a set of eyepieces and see two things at the same time.
When you are conducting this type of an examination, what kinds of conclusions can you come to after you're comparing, either you said bullets to other bullets fired at the or recovered from the same place, or a bullet compared to a test fire?
The three conclusions that I can come to with regard to the forensic evidence that I look at includes an identification, which means that this bullet or this cartridge case was fired from this particular gun, or these two bullets were fired from the same gun. The opposite of that is an exclusion or an elimination, meaning that there were differences between the two. And that means that this bullet or this cartridge case was not fired in this particular firearm, or these two bullets or these two casings were not fired in the same gun. Now, right in between there is what's called inconclusive. Inconclusive basically means that there's not enough information on those items to make a definitive, yes, it was, or no, it's not.
Now, I am going to ask you, and I want to do this so that we're very clear. The weapon that you have in State's Exhibit 20A inside of this box,
Yes.
as it stands right now, it's fully unloaded, is that fair to say?
Yes, it is. I can tell that by a zip tie that I've placed through the action of the firearm.
And there's no magazine inserted in it?
Correct.
Okay. With the court's permission, I would like to ask you to remove this item from the box and publish it to the jury so they can ask you some questions about it.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's some scissors right here. Thank you.
And for the record, Exhibit 28, correct?
20B, or A, I apologize. My letters are a little off in my notes, so I
Thank you.
apologize.
There's no biological or any kind of material on this firearm, so the gloves are kind of giant. I'm gonna hold it with my bare hands.
Thank you. If you could just come on up in front of this jury, and I'd like you to walk us through, obviously not doing it, but could you show us how somebody would
It's
use
also to
this
keep
firearm?
your DNA off the gun.
Demonstrate for everybody that this firearm is unloaded. I just unsnipped the zip tie that I had put through the action of the gun before. So it's unloaded. There's nothing in the chamber here, which is where a cartridge would go, and the magazine that normally would go right here is not present. So regardless, I'm going to keep this pointed downward just to observe all the safety procedures. And I'm sorry, you said the...
So how would somebody load this weapon?
So in its condition like this top part here is the slide that I mentioned earlier, that's locked open in an open position. But to load this firearm, you would have the magazine with cartridges in it, and that would go in this opening here in the grip that's called the magazine well. And that would snap into place and it'll click once it's properly seated.
Once the magazine is inserted inside of the weapon, is it ready to fire?
At that point, no. In the condition like this gun is right here, where that slide is still open, one would have to close the slide in order to take a live cartridge from the top of the magazine, and that would what's called chamber the live round.
Can you demonstrate us how somebody would, is that sometimes called racking a slide?
It is, yes.
Okay. Can you show us how that occurs and what that looks like?
Sure. You can do it two ways. The first way, and the slide is on spring pressure, so when I pull it back, it's going to overcome a little pull that's keeping it open. So you can pull it back and let it go forward. So that's one way to do it. That will close the slide. That's going to take one of those rounds of ammunition from the top and put it into the chamber. The second way to do that, there is a button on the side here. This is called a slide release. And if I were to use my thumb and press that button, that will let the slide go forward. That little lock or that button is what's holding that slide open. So then that would close the slide. So you can do it two ways. You can manually do it, or you can use your thumb to release that slide and let it
Now, once that slide has been placed into position, there would be, were this a loaded weapon, there would be a live round in the chamber and the weapon would
True.
be ready to fire.
Yes, it would. The way that this pistol is designed, this part here is called the hammer, and this is in what's called the cocked position, and that just happened, this is the hammer here, and that happened when the slide is pulled backwards. So when the slide was open, when we go to close it.
That's always been my position. Like, why do they even need to wear gloves at all?
So that means if you were to pull
It's already been
What
processed.
kinds of safety features are associated with this particular Beretta pistol?
But they always wear gloves anyway.
Safety features, there's one right here, if you can see, again, I'm gonna keep this pointed down, but there's a red dot that's right here, and that's indicating that the safety is off. So if I were to rotate this lever, now what that did right there, that's two things that happen. One, it's a manual safety that will keep the gun from firing, and that click that we all just heard is called a decocker. That will safely drop that hammer without having to pull the trigger. So as we saw, the hammer was cocked backwards, but if you use that lever, that manual safety / decocker, that will safely lower the hammer without firing the gun. So that's one safety feature. There's another one inside that is not visible from, not really visible from the outside, but it's called a firing pin block. And essentially that's doing exactly what it sounds like. It's keeping the firing pin, it's blocking the firing pin from moving forward. So the only way that that is deactivated is by pulling the trigger. Pulling the trigger will work some of the internal components to move something out of the way, move a block out of the way, and that will let the firing pin go forward. Trying to think what else it has without looking at my notes.
If you need your notes to refresh your recollection, just let us know.
Okay. I believe there's also a loaded chamber indicator on this, which is actually the extractor. The extractor is that little piece of the firearm that will pull the empty cartridge case or cartridge out of the chamber. When there's a round in here, this little piece actually sticks out just a tiny bit, and I don't recall if there's like a bit of orange on there, but it's either a visual or you can feel it with your finger. You'd be able to feel or see that extractor, and when that happens, you know that there is a live round in the chamber.
Now, not sure I'm going to phrase this correctly, so please correct me. When firing this weapon, does it have sights?
It does, yes.
Can you explain to us what those are?
There's two sights on this firearm. There's one in the front towards the muzzle end of the gun, and then there's another one back here towards the back of the firearm.
And what are sights?
They are on the firearm to assist in aiming at a target.
And you had described to us earlier, when you were seated and without the weapon in your hand, about ejecting from the gun. Can you show where that ejection would occur from on this weapon?
Yes, so what I'm gonna do here is open the slide and lock it open. So on the top of the gun here, there's this opening. Inside here is the chamber. This is the chamber, that's where the live round or an cartridge case would be. So the extractor and the ejector, when this slide is coming backwards, that will cause the decocker decocking the gun. That will fly out of this open area here. So when this slide is open, this little area here, this opening, is where that empty casing, or if you were extracting a live round, that's where that would fly out the firearm from.
And I think one more question before I give you a break and let you sit down. With respect to this weapon, you indicated that part of your examination involved testing to see how much force was required to pull the trigger.
Yes.
How much force, or can you demonstrate or explain to us how much force is needed to pull this trigger?
Well, specifically, I have to go back and refer to my notes for the exact poundage of how much force it takes to do this. But this gun operates in what's called single action and double action. Single action refers to what happens, how many things happen when you pull the trigger. So when it's in single action mode, sorry, this is kind of a long explanation to get there, but.
It's okay, whatever you need to get us there.
So when the slide comes forward, and remember how we have that hammer in that cocked position, if I were to fire this gun, that would be called single action, because when you pull the trigger, the gun's empty, but I'm gonna demonstrate. So this would be how many pounds of pressure is what I'm measuring to make that happen. And I'll do that a number of times, about 3 times, to determine how many pounds it takes to cause it to fall and where the hammer will not fall. Now, there's another mode that this can fire in. Say, for example, we've decocked the firearm, so that hammer is now down, safely lowered down. You can still fire it if the safety's off, but what we're doing here is operating it in double action. And so what that means is that when I pull the trigger, you can watch the hammer come back and then let go. So 2 things are happening when I pull the trigger. One, it's cocking back, and then 2, it's releasing. So there's single action, there's double action, and each of those has slightly different pounds of pressure. I'll refer to my notes for the exact, but there's different pounds of pressure to be able to pull the trigger for each of those modes.
Thanks so much. You can go ahead and return to your seat. I'll go ahead and restate that question. If you
Yes.
recall, or if you can refresh your recollection, can you describe to us how many pounds of pressure it takes to pull this trigger, both in single action and then in double action mode?
Again, referring to my notes, for single action, it takes 4 to 5 pounds of pressure to pull that, and in double action, it's about 9.5 to 10 pounds.
Is there something that you can give us, sort of a real world measurement, but 4 to 5 pounds, what does that equate to?
4 to 5 pounds would be about a bag of sugar from the grocery store. You can imagine how much that weighs. I think these days it's 4 pounds because they're smaller. 9.5 to 10 pounds would be a large bag of flour, for example, or a gallon of milk, maybe a little bit heavier than a gallon of milk. So if you can imagine sort of the weights of that, that's how much pressure would be put on the triggers in either single or double action.
Now, you had indicated earlier in your testimony that part of what you had done was test this weapon for functionality, and that you did find it to function as you expected.
Yes,
Is that partially by firing the weapon and checking to see if it operates?
it is, yes.
And did you conduct any tests to determine whether the weapon could jar off?
I did,
And
yes.
what is jar off?
That means, that's a term that I use to determine if a gun is susceptible to an accidental discharge from some kind of jarring action to it.
Was this weapon susceptible to jar off?
It was not.
Now,
I don't like that expression.
before I move into the other evidence that you received in this case, specifically the evidence from the scene, in test firing a gun, can you explain to us that process and what you do with the test fired round that you recover?
When I go to test fire a firearm, typically that's the second part of what I do. First, I typically would look at bullets or cartridge cases, and that kind of steers me in the direction of what type of ammunition I would need to test fire, just to try to look at things that are similar to what was recovered from the crime scene. So I would then select an appropriate type of ammunition, typically 3 cartridges, but I'm not limited to 3, but typically 3. The laboratory that I work in has what's called the test fire room. And in that room is, it's essentially a tank of water that's connected to sort of a pool filter that when I fire into it, the water slows down the bullet so that it's not damaged, so that I can examine it under the microscope. The pool filter part just kind of sucks it out of the tank and deposits it into a little, a basket for retrieval. But I will choose the appropriate type of ammunition for the case. I will test fire the gun, and I'll test it as well in single and double action. And that's to determine how the gun's functioning.
Why into a water tank?
That's typically the type of bullet retrieval device that forensic laboratories use. There's sort of variations on a theme of that, whether or not they're vertical or horizontal, but essentially the water slows the bullet down enough so it's not damaged when it hits the water, and then it's in a good enough condition for me to microscopically examine it.
So let's move on to the other evidence that you received, because you received this weapon and all of its parts, but you also received some additional materials that you were asked to look at in order to conduct a comparison. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm going to show you what is, I'm sorry to pile up so many things on you. I'm showing you what is in evidence as State's Exhibit 28 and as State's Exhibit 29 for this case. They're already open if you want to take those items out and look at them.
Okay.
Do you recognize those items?
Yes, I do.
Were they part of your examination?
Yes, they are.
Now, those are casings and a projectile. Is that fair? A casing and a projectile, fair to say?
Correct, yes, one casing and one bullet or one
Is
projectile.
there some way in which you know that you examined those two items yourself?
There is, yes.
Can you explain what that is?
Excuse me. Well, first I recognize my initials on the outside of the packaging, but more specifically on the items themselves. On the cartridge case, I will have scribed like with an engraving tool on the body, on sort of the body part of the cartridge case. I will scribe the case number, the item number, and my initials, so that way I know that this is the case that this belongs to, which I can see here. And then on the bullet, once that has been cleaned, I will also inscribe that same information, the case number, which particular item number this is, and my initials.
Now, once you examined those two items, you were able to choose an ammunition that matched up with them. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it is.
Inside of State's Exhibit 20A, there's a small envelope. Does that contain your test-fired rounds that you fired into that water tank and recovered?
It does, yes.
Now, with respect to your examination of the casing and then the projectile, could you walk us through what you did?
So once I have examined, well, first on a preliminary basis, I will have examined the bullet and the cartridge case, gathering all of the physical characteristics of each of those items. Again, filling out a worksheet that asks for all of the pertinent information. So if I'm talking about the bullet, it would be how much does it weigh, what caliber is it, what is it made of, any type of damage to it, and I'll conduct that same sort of overview of the cartridge case. Once I've done that, then on the microscope that I use to conduct the comparisons, I will use one of the test-fired bullets that I just shot from the firearm, and I will put that on one side of the microscope, and then the evidence bullet on the other stage of the microscope. And again, looking through the eyepieces on this piece of equipment lets me see those two things at the same time. And so I will, on the bullet, look for those scratch marks that I discussed earlier, those individual characteristics that are unique to that particular gun, looking for that same pattern, matching that pattern that I see on the surface of the bullet from the crime scene. And so once I've done that, I can come to one of those three conclusions, and I'll conduct a similar examination on the fired cartridge case, again with a test-fired cartridge case on one side of the stage of the microscope and the one from the scene on the other. And again, looking for agreement, matching patterns that I'm seeing on the two of those to determine whether or not this bullet or this cartridge case was fired in this gun.
So with respect to State's Exhibit 28, which is the casing,
Yes.
were you able to make a determination or conclusion based on your examination of that item?
Yes, I was.
What was your conclusion?
I determined that the cartridge case was fired in the Beretta pistol.
And where were the markings that you looked at that allowed you to determine that? In terms of generally, what kinds of tool marks did you see?
Sure, again, I'm just going to refer to my notes. So on this, I was specifically looking at where the firing pin struck the cartridge case on the primer. So there were details in that impression of the firing pin of the gun on both my test fires and on the fired cartridge case. And then there was another area of the primer of the question cartridge case that came in contact with the gun called the breech. And I also saw agreement of those areas, those corresponding areas on the cartridge cases.
With respect to State's Exhibit 29, which is the bullet, and I'm just going to show a closer-up image of that item. In State's Exhibit 24C, is this the bullet or projectile that you received?
Yes, it is.
And just so we're clear, this is not under a microscope, correct? This is just a close-up photograph that you took?
It's through a type of a microscope called a stereo microscope. It just lets you see things a little bit larger, but it's not like a comparison microscope that I use for looking at two things.
But this fairly shows what that projectile looked like when you examined it, and then you got it to go in a little bit closer and see the microscopic markings, fair to say?
That's correct.
Okay. When you examined State's Exhibit 29, which is the projectile or the bullet recovered from the scene, what, if any, determination or conclusion were you able to make based on that examination of that item to the Beretta?
After comparing the bullet, the question bullet to the test-fired bullets that I made from the Beretta pistol, I determined that that question bullet, the one on the screen, was fired in the Beretta pistol.
Court's indulgence? Just one question about this particular Beretta handgun. If there were a magazine, a loaded magazine inserted into that weapon, is it possible to insert that magazine without simultaneously loading a live cartridge into the chamber?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time? I'm sorry.
Is there any way to put a 15-round magazine into that Beretta handgun and not have one of the rounds load into the chamber and be ready to fire?
Yes,
Can
if
you explain that?
I sure will, yes. If you took the magazine that had ammunition in it and simply just placed it in the gun, whether or not the slide is open or closed wouldn't matter at that point. But if you were to just place the magazine, the loaded magazine, into the pistol, there would not be any round in the chamber of the gun because that slide hasn't moved back and forth to be able to take one from the magazine and put it into the chamber. So that would be whether the slide was open or closed.
So let me ask you if you can take the gun and come over here and show us how that would work. Don't insert the magazine, but go ahead and show
Sure.
us how that would work.
Okay, and again, just to show everyone, the magazine is empty. There's no ammunition in it, and the firearm is still unloaded. So if this magazine had ammunition in it, again, it would be placed into the magazine well of the firearm. So I'm going to hold it in front here. The only way that you would be able to get around from here into the chamber would be to pull the slide back and let it go forward, which would then take that first round that's on the top of here and put that into the chamber. But if the gun was simply, I'm going to practice real quick. If the firearm was simply like this, with the slide closed, and you took your magazine with ammunition in it, again, it's empty. But if you were to put it in like that and didn't do anything else, there would not be a round in the chamber.
So as that weapon would be, if that magazine that you put in there had 15 rounds, which is capacity, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Inside of it, and it was in this position, and you put the magazine in, there would not be a round in the chamber ready to fire.
Right, because the slide is closed, there's no ammunition, well, in this case, there's no ammunition in that, but if there was some in here, and you were to just simply put this into place, there's nothing in the chamber of the gun as of yet. But if you were to manipulate the slide back and forth, that would then put a chamber, put a round in the chamber of the gun.
So if you were storing your weapon in this manner, with the loaded 15-round mag inside of the handle or the magazine well, and had not placed or moved the slide to have a live cartridge loaded, and you wanted to fire the gun, can you show us what you would have to do
To actually fire it,
to fire it?
well, there would have to be, again, ammo in the magazine. You would take this isn't gonna work quite as well because this is empty and it's gonna hold the slide open because this is empty, but I'll demonstrate from here. So if this was loaded, this firearm was like this. If you were to put the magazine in, and I'm not gonna see it totally because if it's empty and I pull the slide back, it's gonna pop open. But if I wrap the slide like that and there was a there was ammunition in the magazine, that racking of that slide would then put around in the chamber. At this point, I had the safety on, so the hammer couldn't be locked in that ready-to-go position. But if the safety was off, you can see the little red button. Just gonna reset that. So we put that in, and we closed the slide, and there was a round in there. At that point, it would be ready to fire. If you were to pull the trigger at this capacity in this position here, it would go off. But again, if you decock it, it's not gonna, that decocking lowers it safely.
Thank you.
Hi, Tom.
Some things for you.
That's the cartridge case.
Right on top. I have no further questions for Ms. Biggs.
Okay.
Good afternoon, very briefly.
Sure.
When you demonstrated over here with the Beretta 9mm pistol, racking the slide to be able to load the chamber with a bullet from the magazine, how much pressure would that take?
To pull the slide backwards. That's not a measurement that I have. It is under spring pressure, so I couldn't even begin to put it like a poundage pressure because it's not something I'm able to test for.
How can you test for the trigger pressure?
Well, for the trigger, to see how much pounds of pressure it takes to pull the trigger, I have essentially it's called a spring gauge. It kind of looks like a scale, like you would use to measure how heavy your luggage is before you go to the airport. But that has a hook on it that I can place on the trigger of the gun to determine how many pounds of pressure in single or double action to do that. But there's no device to measure how much pressure it is to pull the slide backwards.
Could you tell us if it's the amount of pressure used is more or less than pulling the trigger?
Overruled.
Again, I don't really know how much pressure it would be. Like for the single action, it's between 4 and 5 pounds. The double action is 9.5 to 10 pounds. So I'm trying to think, I would just be guessing at that point. I really couldn't put a specific number on that.
Yep, not a specific number, but you could say it more or less.
Objection, you're under speculation.
Approach.
Why? You should have sustained that objection. She said you can't put a number on it. Okay, it's not the attorneys, it's the judge. It's Judge. It's Judge Foshizzle. Show Fizzle, whatever his name is. The objection was speculation and he overruled it. And then the answer was, I really can't put a number on it. And the objection was raised again. And the judge said approach. Why was that so hard? Just say sustained.
So during your examination of this pistol and today, you were able to feel how it is to pull the trigger single action, correct?
Yes.
And you were able to feel how it is to pull the trigger in double action, correct?
Yes.
And you were able to feel how or feel the force used to pull the slide back, correct?
Yes.
And just in in how it feels, does it feel like it's as much pressure or more? Is that fair to say?
I think if I had to estimate, I don't think it's as light as the single action is, because that's pulling the trigger. That's 4 to 5 pounds isn't a whole lot. 10 to 12 is what I would describe as a stiff trigger, stiff-ish type of trigger. So I would say maybe somewhere in between there, roughly. But that's
Yes.
not particularly scientific. There's no real way that I'm aware of to determine exactly what that poundage would be to pull that slide back.
What? Are they trying to say the gun accidentally went off?
Ready, right?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, can Ms. Theriot be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are they trying to say someone else pulled the slide back? Is that why they're asking about how much pressure it would take or strength or whatever? Probably. But I don't get why they asked that. This is why I would be a sucky witness, because I would be sitting up there trying to figure out why they were asking me what they were asking me.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I was waiting for the court. I don't believe at this time that the state has any further witnesses to call today.
For today, okay, all right, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so members of the jury, scheduling in a trial, obviously as part of the jury selection process, we informed you it would be a 2-week trial. So witness scheduling in these matters can sometimes be a little bit difficult. So I will inform you that we're making good progress over the course of the trial. And what that means is that the state has one expert witness, one witness who is slated to testify on Thursday. That person is slated to testify on Thursday. And based upon consultation with counsel relative to the order of witnesses, what has been determined is that we can have that other witness besides the 2 witnesses the state intends to call, that they can be called to testify on Thursday. What I'm getting to in a roundabout fashion is it looks like we're going to take tomorrow off relative to scheduling. Once again, we appreciate your service. We appreciate your patience. Scheduling in these matters, as I said, sometimes can be difficult. But rather than have you come in for just a half day tomorrow, we'd rather say that we will not have the trial be conducted tomorrow, and instead we'll push it into a longer day on Thursday from an efficiency standpoint. I know some of you may disagree with that, but that's the decision that I've made relative to the overall pattern of scheduling. So once again, based on the order of witnesses, we'll take tomorrow off. We'll convene again at 9 o'clock on Thursday for what would be another longer day on Thursday, again, rather than breaking it up into smaller chunks and having you come in each day. So I've made that decision with consultation with counsel, and they both agree relative to that. We're on good scheduling as far as the trial as a whole is concerned. So once again, as I've advised you in the past, there is media presence with respect to this matter. I instruct you, I order you to not do any research whatsoever with respect to any of the matters that you've heard about here, whether it's online research or in-person research or anything else. I advise you not only not to discuss the case amongst yourselves, but do not discuss the case or the evidence with anyone else outside the courtroom. Again, everything that your decision in this case needs to be based upon what you hear in this courtroom and from no other source. And if there is any information that I receive as to any interference with those instructions, I will be forced to take action with it. So again, I appreciate your respecting my orders in that regard. And again, please take affirmative steps to avoid inadvertent exposure to any of the media accounts. And finally, again, through your own social media, if you choose to do so, please do not discuss or broadcast any aspect of the case whatsoever. Again, I appreciate your service, I appreciate your patience, and I appreciate your willingness to abide by these instructions. Counsel, anything else before we excuse the jury for the day? Okay, so 9 o'clock on Thursday. Thank you very much for your understanding under the circumstances, and we'll see you then.
All rise.
Anything at this time, counsel? Anything at this time? Okay, all right, thank you. Court will be in recess. Whatever exhibits need to be attended to with the monitor, please do so. Okay, thank you very much. And 9 o'clock on Thursday? Okay, thank you.
Tomorrow we're doing Brooks. We will do Brooks tomorrow all day. And then Thursday we will do Brooks in the morning and then be back to do this. So I'm going to go take a nap because I'm exhausted. Been fighting sleep all day. So I will see you guys in the morning, bright and early. Everybody have a fantastic evening. And remember to be kind to people, love your family, and Jesus loves you, and so do I. Bye, guys. I'll see you in the morning. Bye. Love you.